Meanwhile, Republican Congressman Chuck Edwards of North Carolina is pushing back on the disinformation and conspiracy theories Donald Trump and his allies continue to spread in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene and now around Hurricane Milton. In an email to his constituents yesterday, Congressman Edwards, who represents Western North Carolina ravaged by the flooding after Helene, wrote this, quote, "These conspiracy theories, while certainly frustrating, have done more harm than most people may realize. The spreading of falsehoods has diverted state, local, and federal resources from helping NC-11, his district, recover toward refuting hearsay and repeatedly trying to set the record straight." Congressman Edwards went on to write that it is disappointing to have to spend an email dispelling the outlandish rumors being spread online about Hurricane Helene response and recovery. Meanwhile, a North Carolina man is blaming former President Trump for his father-in-law's refusal to get help from FEMA. A man identifying himself as Anthony called into the Dan Abrams show on Sirius XM saying his father-in-law in Asheville only believes the former president, and it is actually breaking up our family.
My father-in-law lives just outside of Asheville, North Carolina, and he was badly damaged by Hurricane Helene. And he has refused all FEMA help because he's a hardcore Trumper. And he literally believes that if he accepts anything from FEMA, they're going to take his house. I don't understand how so many people are under the spell of this freaking con man. I don't understand it.
Well, it's absolutely heartbreaking about your father-in-law. I'm so sorry to hear it. I hope.
Dan, it's hard to even imagine it. I mean, he lost almost everything, and he's refusing all help from the federal government and complaining to us that he doesn't have food, that he doesn't have the stuff he needs, and yet he won't accept the help. What the hell are we supposed to do? We're not in a position to be able to fly across the country and help him. Yeah. There's people begging us to get him to accept help, and he won't do it.
Wow.
And I guarantee you, I'm not the only one. I guarantee you, I'm not the only one.
I wish there was something I could say as to, I don't know. Does he have access to any electronics where you could send him some information debunking this and that he might?
We've done all of that. We've done all of that. We've sent him all the FEMA bulletins. We've sent him all the stuff from the fact checkers. He doesn't believe it. He thinks he just believes Trump. Literally, Dan, it's a cult. He's a cult member. I'm sorry to say it. He's a cult member. And he's my father-in-law, and it sucks.
Just one story there after the storm. Joining us now, longtime political strategist, our good friend Mike Murphy. Mike, it's great to have you here. You've been in the Republican political game for a long time.
We now say racket, but yes,
the racket.
yes,
okay,
really,
I'll let you say it.
It went from a game to a racket, which is why I'm so infuriated. But go ahead.
So let's talk about the racket then. It used to be that the kind of stuff we're hearing from Marjorie Taylor Greene and Donald Trump was the guy at the end of the bar. He had a conspiracy theory he wanted to tell you about, and you can kind of laugh him off, and there were dark corners of the internet where it lived. But now it's been elevated to the center of the political discourse. The guy who was president and wants to be again is elevating all this stuff.
Right. In the old days, we'd have the little kook wing that would bark at the moon, everybody, Now, they've been encouraged, they've been put on steroids to get front and center. And again, the old method was people knew this is serious business, let alone a hurricane. So, oh no, we don't do that. Now we've got a ringmaster saying, you step right up, let's hear more about space lasers. That is the fundamental shift, tragically, in our politics now. There's no policing, no shame, no curation. It's just bring the freak show up and put it, and people believe it. And with the internet, you can send anything around for free. You don't need to be responsible enough to get a job and buy some stamps to write a nutty letter. Now you hit send. So here we are. We have reality show politics. Stakes couldn't be higher, and the content of it couldn't be more depressing.
I mean, we had the President of the United States from the White House yesterday having to look down the barrel of the camera and say the government cannot engineer hurricanes, let alone target them to red states or counties that support Donald Trump.
Wanting to abolish NOAA, along with abolish the Department of Education. Abolish is a word that appears frequently in that document, but they want to abolish the scientific collection of data by the federal government that has been able to warn people in Florida how to save their lives and how much time they have to save their lives. They just want to eliminate that information system.
Yes, and this whole thing of Project 2025 and wanting to get rid of NOAA while at the same time wanting to get rid of the mention of climate change and the climate crisis as well shows that not only do they want to deny the issue, but they want to deny us the means and solutions to deal with the issue. And we see this happen all the time. You know, I'm on the House Oversight Committee. I have my colleagues on the other side of the aisle who constantly want to badger and talk about a lot of our agencies and departments. They're not doing their job. They're horrible. They're bureaucrats, this and that. And then at the same time, vote against budget increases to ensuring these agencies have the resources that they need. It's complete hypocrisy. And it's what's going on here in Florida. And the thing about it is this data saves lives. There are people who have already died because of this hurricane today, and we're going to have more discussions over the coming days and weeks about how these two hurricanes that seemingly came out of nowhere are here because of the climate crisis and because it's here. But, you know, I'll tell you, Lawrence, when I was driving back from that Hurricane Hunters mission, I was on I-4 leaving kind of the Tampa area, coming back to Orlando, and I broke down being in the car because I'm in stop-and-go traffic. I'm looking to my left and right, and all you see is all these cars full of families, seniors, people, and you look at their face, they've packed up their entire livelihood, and they are scared. And this is becoming more and more of a normal occurrence for Floridians. And so when we talk about the impacts of climate change, of course, it's human lives, it's a death toll, but it's also people being displaced and people having to leave their homes time and time again. It's really sad. We've been focusing on making sure people are prepared here in Central Florida. We were at the emergency operations centers earlier today. I met with lunch workers who serve lunch to kids at school who are staying overnight in shelters to feed the people in the shelters 3 meals a day while we get through this storm. So if I know one thing is for sure, it's that here in Central Florida and across this state, we're going to help each other get through this. We're going to clean up, and then we're going to continue to have these conversations on how we need to make sure we prevent these kind of events happening again. I mean, we're having too many once-in-a-100-year storms over just the last 5 years.
In all of your conversations with the people living in the path of this hurricane, have you found people who believe Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene's statement that, I guess, President Biden controls the weather?
I haven't just yet, but what I have had is I've had people come up to me and ask questions about some of the misinformation they've seen out there. We've saw former President Donald Trump talking about the $750 number without talking about the fact that there are different buckets that people can apply to get direct assistance from FEMA. One of the buckets is an immediate cash send out to help people with things they might have lost, where they need food, baby formula, stuff like that, which $750 can go a long way with that. There's another bucket of funds where people can help get money to help recover their home. So there's a lot of misinformation out there. And the problem here, and President Biden brought this up, is that when that misinformation goes into the public and people believe it, it means they don't believe or have